right in the hood with it. Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel, and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled, and even more so, I'm very appreciative, man. So thank you. So, wow. What a difference a day makes, huh? Yesterday was ugly. It was an ugly, well, not ugly for me. It was cool. I went and caught me a couple shirts, a new little hat. So the winner is, but it was payday. You know, you work all week and you get paid at the end of the week. Bam, there you go. Fridays, I love them. But let's talk about Gface, right? Because it was a tricky day for him. It was an ugly day, an ugly situation. All lies were revealed. All lies on him, right? But I don't think any of us that really know who this guy is or watch him like that were surprised. I know, and I can tell you I wasn't pleasantly surprised. You know, I don't wish death, I don't wish anguish, I don't wish violence or nothing upon anyone. That's not what I'm advocating or promoting. But at the same time, you know, if you make your bed, you're going to definitely lie in it. And it's just tricky. It's an ugly situation. But how'd that paperwork come about? So for those of you that haven't seen what's going on, Gface, the rapper, man, the trapper, the rapper, the truck driver, the all kinds of different, you know, hey, he was one of those guys. He was a man of many faces, many hustles, right? Any way he could hustle, he was hustling. I ain't mad at it. He was on his Rick Ross Wingstop shit, right? But at the same time, he definitely wasn't going about it the right way. It seems like he wanted to hustle, but he also wanted to throw people under the bus along the way, testify against people, tell on people, just do a lot of different things. I guess it was in his DNA and his makeup. I guess once you go that route, you just decide. Some people decide to just keep on going, right? And that was his thing. So it came out, 1090 Jake dropped the paperwork, right? Now, for those of you that don't know, most times anyone's convicted of a crime or charged with a crime, the paperwork is, you got public access to it, okay? You could just go down to your local office and apply for it, and you could get the public records. Go down to your records office. It's that simple. You know, if you ever feel skeptical about somebody or think that this person might have some tricky charges, some weird charges, then you can go down to the public records office, pull his records, man, and find out everything he's ultimately been convicted for, if he's ever did time, and who he is. I know when my girls, my daughters start having boyfriends, they're getting all their shit pulled, right? Straight up. So that's just the way it is. But a lot of people do that. Now, I don't know if 1090 Jake has a connection behind the scenes or he went to public records office, which he could have easily done, and pulled this record. But Gface was indicted the other day, and in that indictment, they didn't seal it. Okay, and if they don't seal the indictment, that means it's open for public access. It's open for all eyes to see. You know, I was talking to the homeboy behind the scenes, and I was like, I'm tripping on this paperwork because why? Usually when they have a confidential informant, someone who's been working with the DEA for over 19 years since 2005, you would think that they would refer to him as confidential informant 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the number be, and that they would black out certain pages of the documentation so that way no one that got their hands on it could figure out who the culprit was, who this guy snitching was. But obviously, they slipped up. Now, when it comes to things like that, it happens. Okay, it's part of life. Not everybody is perfect. The job wasn't done correctly. But who really leaked that paperwork? Who really shot it to 1090 Jake? How was he able to get it? Did he go down to the public records office as soon as Gface was indicted on the land charges and whatever he's going through? He was federally indicted, him and his old lady, the other day. And that's what opened this whole can of worms. Did he go down and request those public records, or more so, did someone shoot him to him behind the scenes? Either way, that's his business. But one thing I think is tricky is I think the lawyer, which is Gface's lawyer, or the DEA themselves made a mistake, okay? And they released them unsealed documents. And upon doing that, that's why everybody was able to get access and see that this guy was telling. So let's break it down. You know, nowadays in this era we live in with the AI shit, people can manipulate paperwork. They could make paperwork, fake paperwork. And it's a tricky game nowadays because you could have a good camarada, a good homeboy, solid as fuck, and then he can get incarcerated, he can get locked up, and all of a sudden some paperwork 5, 10 years later pops up on him, and it's all bad. You know, this AI shit, albeit it's more advanced and it's good, you know, it's doing things that we never thought we could see get done. But you could also have someone on the phone having conversations talking. We remember when Gface notoriously dropped the video on Bozo, right? And in that video, it was disproven, and I never ever thought that that was Bozo. I thought that was his voice, but I knew it was cut and pasted and spliced together, and they used AI to make that. And of course, it was a rather unbecoming situation. They were trying to put a jacket on Bozo and say that he was basically a chomo and that he was sleeping around with the underage girls. I never believed that to be true. Not because I believe that fucking Bozo's a solid individual and all this and that. I don't know that dude from a fucking can of pea soup, right? That probably don't even taste good. That's been sitting there on the shelf for 5 years. But one thing I do know for sure is just the audio and the way that it was done in haste. It wasn't done professionally. It was all fucked up. So anyone with any merit or any game about themselves could understand and tell that Gface was feeling some type of way about Bozo. And so he got dirty. You know, he was a dirty individual. Instead of catching that fade or going heads up or calling him behind the scenes and telling me, puto, me over here behind the 7-Eleven. You know what I'm saying? We can share a chimichanga and handle our business. Instead of doing all that, he decided to go the YouTube route, which is dick his name up. Fuck his name up. Drag his name through the mud. Now, of course, he lost a lot of support being Gface. And there was a lot of people that actually was dumb enough to believe that that audio was real with Bozo, right? I didn't. Now, I'm not a fan of Bozo. I don't respect him on that level. I respect him as a man, but there's certain things that I don't respect about what he says. But again, he didn't do that shit, okay? And that's just plain cut and dry. But Ghostface, Gface, he was willing to go the extra mile and double down on it and say that Bozo did, right? Again, man, manipulation. People will use any type of tools they can in guerra nowadays. See, it ain't about hand-to-hand combat or weaponry or pulling up and handling your business. Nowadays, more so, it's about dragging people's name through the mud and trying to ruin their career and their platform. That's how people get down. So anyways, with that being said, when you see paperwork online, you got to decipher it real closely. I know, right? I've made that mistake of jumping on it and deciding to put it out there when it wasn't as real as it should be, okay? When it wasn't what it was. But nowadays, fakeries are done good. You can't tell. So you don't know, right? So instead of just going the paperwork route, you have to fucking inquire and do your homework because you're fucking with a man's life here. There's people, not necessarily that are on YouTube, that are watching, that are going to feel some type of way. This individual has family. This individual has friends. This individual is from a barrio or a hood, or maybe just has people that are hitters that he knows that might feel some type of way because you're trying to slander his character, right? Like I said, I was a part of that initiative one time when it came to American Cholo, man. And I learned my lesson. My lesson being, I got to think before I just react, right? I got to slow my shit down. And I have. And I apologized because he had that coming. Not because of the man he is, but because of the man I am. And that's just it, period. People make mistakes. No one's flawless. But anyways, Gface has made a lot of mistakes. Okay? And, you know, he's continuing to double down and stand his ground and say that this paperwork is fake and that he didn't do this. And I'm telling you, man, I had to take a little trip to the public records office and I had to inquire. And to be totally honest with you, that paperwork is no longer available. Okay, that paperwork with Gface's name that I know to be true, because I've seen it with my own two eyes, you know, on 1090 Jake's channel, he has the paperwork on full display. And we're going to get to all that right now. But it's no longer, you don't got access to it. They shut it down. And I think they made a mistake or they leaked it. I think either the DEA was feeling some type of way about Gface, they pulled his protection, they leaked his paperwork, or his lawyer, he doesn't have a good lawyer, right? For all that money that he was showing on No Jumper and riding around in Lamborghinis, smoking cigarettes and just high-siding and flossing, that sure came back and bit him in the nalga, right? Nike was a nalga. Nike was a nalga. He needs NyQuil right now to put him to sleep because at this point in his life, he's going through a sticky situation. And I don't wish this upon nobody. Everybody's talking about Gface, whether he's a rata or not, right? At the end of the day, who does it really affect? Well, only those he's testified against, put away, and those that he's probably going to continue to testify against in the future, if it's really the truth. Now, my honest opinion, my perception on it, I believe it to be true. Okay, just from the look of the paperwork, everything that 1090 Jake said in his fucking video and broke it down, I believe it's true. But I don't think the real story here is whether he told or not. See, I could tell you what I think, and it might not be dead on, but this is just what I think. I think You know, back, and you know what's crazy is Gface made this big old story up about a shooting and his crime partner locked up in Pelican Bay and this and that. And 1090 Jake broke it all the way down to where this guy just literally did a robbery with the knife. You know, it's crazy because I had action at looking up people's records before in the past. And some of these high-powered individuals that you think, man, that talk about they've been in prison and they've done this and they've done that, you look into their record, man, and these guys, the most they've ever done was stole copper wire out of an abandoned house. They got 19 burglaries on their fucking record, and that's about it. It would trip you out, some of the things you see. Motherfuckers, hey, they're talking about, hey, bro, I fucking booked this person, I did a pegada here, I did that. And then you look into their record and the craziest thing they've ever done was steal a payday candy bar or rob someone for their flux capacitor. It's a trip. You know, what you see nowadays. But anyways, so when it comes to Gface, he made up this persona, the man of 1,000 faces, literally, Gface, right? He lied in every aspect of his life. Now, people put Tapatio on stories. They switch it up a little bit. There's a lot of people that tell stories and put themselves in that story, and it's just a secondhand story, right? It's just the way of the world. People want to entertain. They want to put some spice on it, some paprika. But at the end of the day, man, you got to be able to tell a story from a distance and be able to tell it right, and everything's going to be good in the hood. When you interject yourself into stories, man, sometimes there's repercussion for that story. Now you've made yourself part of that. When it comes to Gface, he did that a lot. You know, if you weed through his stories and all his platform appearances, you know, this man went from doing 10 years to 15 years to 20 years to getting locked up at 15. Now, you could tell that to an individual that's a muckmouth that really doesn't know and hasn't been locked up, or just a regular civilian that doesn't know too much about incarceration. They're going to be like, wow, poor dude, he went through a lot. But at the end of the day, you don't have 14-year-old children, 15-year-old children, 19-year-old children. You don't have these certain charges and this time period and pictures on the internet of you in the rap booth and making songs under the assumed name Little Ghost and all this. Where was the locked up part supposed to be? When were you supposed to be incarcerated, homie? When was that supposed to happen? Because your timeline is all over the place. Your math that said ain't mathing. Do you understand? So, I mean, a liar, I think we can confirm that. We figured that out when it comes to him. He lies extensively. And I think he lies to cover up smaller lies. See, that's what happens with a liar. They want to cover up smaller lies and the lies get bigger and bigger and then they forget. Or they fucking start living that lie. And I believe he was living that lie. Now, this is what really tripped me out in the situation. After a day sitting back and looking at it and trying to break it down and decipher it, you know, why would this guy even go on social media if he had all this on his plate? See, I believe his first crime in the past, that's when he started working with the feds. That's when he was too scared to do time and he decided that if for no other reason, you know, he was going to start working with the federal government against who he considered his adversary now, who really hadn't done nothing to him. Because according to what people are saying, and I know they keep elaborating on the name on the mob, on one of the big four, right? That keeps getting thrown around out there. I don't understand why content creators continue to throw that name around out there. That is a privileged organization that only very few elite soldados are able to achieve, right? It means something to a lot of people. And so the way the names are getting thrown around nowadays, Mexican Mafia and AB and all these different names that are getting thrown around, like it's just a thing to do. When are people going to hold that to a sacred level or a secretive level or respect the involved to understand if you're not part of that, you just, you know, I understand it's going to come up in conversation. It might be said once or twice, but you know, the way that they're saying, oh, he told on these guys, he told on these guys. I'm going to be cut and dry with you. If Ghostface did tell on individuals from that organization, I don't think he would be walking around freely around Los Angeles and being in music videos and popping up here and popping up there. I think the first time he testified, we're talking about 19 years here. He was almost, like Dub said, he was almost ready for retirement. They were already going to give him his gold watch, right, and his pension. He was close. With this guy telling for over 19 years and testifying against several individuals, you know, of a prison organization, I think they would already figured out it was him. I think the Verde went on a bit on him a long time ago. I think he would have been wrapped a long time ago, right? You got to understand, these individuals ain't the type to just wait forever, you know, especially when you're out there dumping fucking piles of money, calling other people fucking chomos and rats and talking that high power shit about you're smacking shit and you're doing all this and you did 20 years in prison. You know, that's stolen valor. There's individuals like myself, Dubs, several other individuals on YouTube that have done an extensive amount of time, man. And to us, that is stolen valor. Albeit it's not military, But when someone claims incarceration at a high level and they did this and they did that via, a la Wes Watson, then you sit back and you kind of wonder and think to yourself, wow, man. So all the struggle and everything I went through, I know it's my fault. I did the crime. I did the time. But wow, this guy's running around making money and utilizing the stories that we tell to turn a buck, man. He's lying. That's stolen valor. Makes people feel some type of way because they didn't have to fucking go through all them times in the hole and the shoes and the 4 yards and worried about every day when you go to the yard if that was going to be your last day of breath. This guy basically sat on a 1 yard in a fucking dorm and now tells the stories that he hears that float around because prison is a small community. Albeit there's a lot of prisons in California, it's a small community. Everyone hears the same old stories, the same characters, the same pegadas, the same individuals doing hits. We all hear about it, right? And that's just what it is. So anyways, with Ghostface, who leaked that paperwork? Was it his lawyer? Was it the feds? It had to be one of the two because he definitely didn't do it. And what's going to come of it? A lot of people have been asking me, what happens to this guy? Well, I'm going to tell you what happens to him. First and foremost, he's already been indicted, and that's why all this shit started. He's already been indicted federally for some fraud and some type of scam pyramid scheme he had going on, him and his wife, right? Or his old lady. Now, he's going to go through those motions. At the end of the day, his jacket is already put out there. People know now. It's public record. It's acknowledged by everyone. It's the hottest trending topic on YouTube, right? Which finally, there you go. Gface, you finally went viral, puto. Right there it is. Now, this individual is in trouble. Okay, because if these things are true, just based upon that paperwork and what, it is acknowledged to say, it's a tricky situation. Are they going to place them in a protective custody? From what I hear in the feds, there is no protective custody. So ultimately, if he gets charged and it results in a conviction in the federal courts, he's going to go to federal prison. Now, because he has this record, now we don't know how extensive and vicious and violent his record truly is, because according to what I've seen on 1090 Jake's channel, and I've heard from a lot of people, it ain't as vicious as makes it to believe. Tattoos and all that shit don't mean shit. People get them. I know I got a homeboy that's never been locked up that got more tattoos than I do. Whole face blasted, looking like Baldacci running around Northern California. It's just what it is, right? And we always clown him on that. Like, damn, bro, you act like you're fucking been to Pelican Bay. He's like, I will go one day. Well, there you go. Where are you going? To go get a fucking steak and a mamon from a badass torta. So we'll see who wins. And the winner is. So we'll see what happens with Gface. It all depends on factors, case factors, mandatory minimums, things of that nature. When he does go to the feds, because ultimately if he's convicted, he will. There's no protective custody. Will they put him on a soft yard? Do they have places for people that are considered confidential informants that have worked with the feds in the past? Probably so. Do I think he's going to be able to skate by and get the witness protection program? Well, obviously not if they charged him. Okay? Now, if he has more things and more people to tell on, maybe he could work himself a deal. I mean, it ain't going to be the first time he told, so, And so here's another thing. 1090 Jake exposes him. Okay? And we all know 1090 Jake's channel tends to do that. And of course, No Jumper jumped on that bandwagon quick and put out their narrative on it. And then several other content creators, myself included, spoke on it. 1090 Jake, I got to commend him on doing his homework and his research. And he broke it down pretty good. He pretty much deciphered and exposed all Gface's lies. And I think I ultimately knew Gface was a tricky character. He was a slime ball at the moment I seen him on that No Jumper podcast with Whack 100. If you recall, and if you haven't watched it, man, go tap in with it. And I'm not promoting No Jumper. I'm just promoting that conversation, right? Whack 100 asked fucking Gface right to his face, and Gface was shaking like a leaf and sweating. You could have put buckets right there and sold sweat to the fucking people to make fucking leather boot fucking shine out of it. It was all sweaty around there. He was smoking cigarettes. Hey, right there, man, he endorsed Camel Lights in a real way. He was just, Whack 100 was on him. And I don't think he was nervous about what Whack 100 was saying because he was showing him his phone and trying to disprove. What he should have done as a Sureño or a Southsider that he claimed to be, and I'm not getting racial here at all, but anyone who's been locked up and knows politics, even on the streets, this is what matters, especially in Southern California, right? You don't let anyone out of your ethnicity try to check you, Holmes. Definitely not on camera or pull your paperwork. See, As a man, even in prison, nobody asks for your paperwork. It's freely given. Okay? People don't get there and like, hey, forward your paperwork, call me or else. What? Let's just get to the or else part. That's it, straight up. Fuck the forward. Let's fast forward. Let's go. You're gonna feel disrespected. You have to be very respectful in your willings and dealings with men, right? And how you fucking approach them and everything. So it's more so like you already know what time it is. If you've been around the block, then you already know. Homies, you throw your paperwork on the bed. Hey, there's my papeles, homie. And your bunkie, your celly would do his, or you shoot it down the tier to get cleared, or from whatever faction you're from, however they do it. You should already know what the game is. You don't have to hoop it and fucking cram it up your asshole like Wes Watson says. That was just extracurricular activities. He was doing that out of free will. He was fucking just doing that for funsies, right? Because anytime I ever went from prison to prison, I just put my paperwork in my property, man, and that was it. You know, even the cops, you tell me, hey, man, I need my paperwork out, my legal work. They're going to give you your legal folder. Slide in your legal folder. It's not illegal, so you don't have to put it in your ass, Wes. You know? Hey, I guess Wes Watson put his fucking paperwork right alongside of his fucking Ultra Bright toothpaste and an extra toothbrush just because. You know, and that spoon that my cousin had in his ass because he was eating honeycombs. And he was dry as a motherfucker saying, can I wear the old line? Right? So, back to Gface. What's going to happen in prison? Will he be segregated? I think he'll be going to a lower level yard depending on his case factors. But ultimately, man, if he did tell, like that people are saying on that prison organization, it's a wrap. Now, I'm not going to say when it's a wrap and how it's a wrap, but it's a wrap in life, meaning not saying that he's going to get killed or maimed or hurt or terrorized, but he has to live with that every day looking over his shoulder. And that's a bad situation. Now, it's crazy because what goes up must come down. Not even 2 months ago, this guy was riding in a Lamborghini, dumping piles of money everywhere, telling people how he could help them. He was basically trying to be the Armenian Wes Watson. He was taking a page out of Wes's book and elaborating and lying and putting more time that he'd done on it and changing his name and his persona and his audio and everything. And meanwhile, in the meantime, in between time, he would say that, oh, I still fuck with my crime partner that I've alleged to tell on, this, and that. Then he even went as far as saying his crime partner told on him. Then he even went as far as saying that he didn't have a crime partner. I mean, the story switched up depending upon which fucking podcast he was in. He was talking about how he had all the game, all the skill, all this, all that, and was rapping and all that. Now, it's crazy. The narcissistic behaviors of these individuals that have so much dirt on their name, why do they continue to go on social media and woof and high side and flaws and chase clout? Is clout that addictive? They act like clout's more addictive than syrup or Fetty at this point. Because clout is a hell of a drug, man. Clout is America's cup of coffee at this point. You know, some of the things and the situations I see people put themselves in for clout, it boggles my mind. You know, now look at the situation this guy's in. There is no more coming back to social media and trying to proclaim his innocence. It's out there, man. Like I said, though, I did go to get the public record and I was shut down. Okay? That's it. I didn't. I made a phone call. Now I think that was yesterday. Now at the same time, again, I tell people, I'm going to implore to people, don't rush to judge if you're not too sure. Okay? In this case, 1090 Jake was pretty accurate. So I could tell you first and foremost that dude was telling. Maybe, I don't know, on a big organization like that, but he was definitely telling and working hand in hand with the feds. Now, people seem to think that he was working every single day, like fucking, they were paying him a paycheck. I've heard from some people maybe he was getting money. I don't know how that works, man. You know, someone that's been involved in that will have to give you the recipe, and I'm sure that they don't want to put that out there. But whether he was getting paid, he was a paid informant or whatever, I'm sure that'll come out. You know, there's going to be people covering his case pretty closely with a fine-tooth comb. They're going to be looking for piojos with the fucking rid and that fucking metal comb. Oh, I know. Shit, my family goes way back. Bed bugs, liendres, roaches, fleas, and shit. We did all. Anyways, with that being said, man, I just hope that people understand that if there's any dirt, any cagada, any mierda on your name, you're going to get found out. Now, I'm going to be doing another video right now on Gunners Collective TV. This is Collective Clips, and it concerns paperwork, and it concerns a person who's basically licking his lips and laughing in everyone's face. We'll talk about it. With that being said, off that you move with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming, and remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive, the struggle, the struggle, the strive. Again, I'm not advocating violence. I'm not advocating trying to smut people's name up and dick them up and doing all that, because that's really not what it's about. It's about hard working, taking care of your family, and living life, right? But it's a trending topic, man, and I'm gonna give you my opinion. The gun.